What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with some more news. Join us now as Wrestlelamia brings you the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know, including a possible injury to Chris Jericho, New Japan equals the WWE, context on that later, more talk on new arrivals in AEW, why shouldn't expect to see non-WWE shows at Madison Square Garden, WWE pushing Liv Morgan and Lana, Big E's WWE creative criticisms, Cody's charitable creation, and much more. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos. But let's waste no further time and get straight into the first story, as we look at whether WWE is keeping competitors out of Madison Square Garden. It looks like MSG may have reverted to being a WWE-only venue in terms of professional wrestling, as other promotions have suddenly found it impossible to book the fabled mecca of professional wrestling. For decades, Madison Square Garden held WWE events exclusively, with other wrestling promotions having to book other arenas in the New York City area. However, as the WWE began booking less and less shows there, the proprietors of the Garden allowed other promotions to run shows there. During a recent episode of the Wrestling Observer Radio, the subject of MSG came up. Here's the deal, so Madison Square Garden had been pushing for other companies to come in, AAA. They pushed for Ring of Honor to come in with New Japan, then all of a sudden WWE tried to get it blocked, and at one point they did get it blocked, but the Sinclair lawyers got it unblocked. While the Ring of Honor / New Japan show was wildly successful, AAA's efforts in the Garden were a miserable failure, leading to the promotion moving its September 2019 event to the Hulu Theatre, a much smaller venue than MSG. The WWE subsequently ran episodes of Raw and SmackDown in the Garden, and while the shows weren't sellouts, something has changed with the Garden's willingness to let promotions other than the WWE run shows in its fabled halls. According to the Wrestling Observer Radio, what I've heard is Madison Square Garden's mentality is WWE is number one, and if they can't draw here big, then what hope does anyone else have? Even though New Japan and Ring of Honor sold out the first day, I was told that it will make it much more difficult today than it was 6 months ago when Madison Square Garden was open to anyone who wanted to book that building. If a tweet by Cody Rhodes is any evidence, now who could that be, doesn't want AEW in the Garden or anywhere near it for that matter. After AEW announced it was coming to the Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey, Cody tweeted, "Thank you Prudential Center for bypassing politics and nonsense and just giving the New Jersey, New York fans what they want." It's arguable AEW could book Madison Square Garden if they wanted to badly enough, but for now the promotion seems to be wise about choosing its battles against the WWE. If AEW has a successful 2020 in terms of live events, don't be surprised if MSG changes its mind, particularly if the WWE doesn't run more shows in the Garden on a regular basis. Next up is Chris Jericho injured. New Japan Pro Wrestling's WrestleKingdom 14 event is over, but it's possible its aftermath will be felt in AEW for some time to come. According to the Observer's Jim Valley, Jericho came in and said that his jaw was dislocated. He added, he also said that his knee was swollen and he's gonna get it looked at. He thought that some of the dragon screws did that, according to Jericho. The second night of WrestleKingdom 14 included Chris Jericho battling Hiroshi Tanahashi, with the stipulation that if Tanahashi won, he'd get an AEW World Heavyweight Championship bout. Jericho won the match, but we'll have to wait and see if the physical effects actually happen, or is it just a case of Jericho working the fans. But whilst we're on the subject of New Japan Pro Wrestling, New Japan proves the WWE's equal. Hear us out when we say this. WrestleKingdom 14 featured a number of matches, and some fans like that New Japan Pro Wrestling aired the shows over 2 nights rather than airing an intermittable show, like a certain other show with wrestle in its name. New Japan proved it's just as good as the WWE in one respect, experiencing technical difficulties with streaming the show. As several sites reported, including Lords of Pain, New Japan Pro Wrestling's over-the-top streaming service New Japan Pro Wrestling World suffered with major issues during the show on WrestleKingdom 14 Night 2. For many, the stream appeared to be working perfectly until just after the Jushin Liger retirement bout, where users noted they had been thrown out of the live stream and were unable to access the New Japan Pro Wrestling website or app to get back in. No one likes to tune into events and find themselves locked out due to technical errors. However, the show proved to be a huge success with some incredible matches throughout both nights. Most notably, Hiromu Takahashi managed to defeat Will Ospreay for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship, Moxley managed to retain the IWGP United States Championship in a wild Texas death match against Lance Archer. Tetsuya Naito defeated Jay White, hitting the Destino to become a 5-time IWGP Intercontinental Champion, and the incredible main event between Kazuchika Okada defending the IWGP Heavyweight Championship against Kota Ibushi. The two fought a hard-hitting 33-minute match, with Okada hitting a second Rainmaker to retain. Night 2 most notably saw the final match of Jushin Thunder Liger. In the main event, Tetsuya Naito became a double champion. He is now an IWGP Intercontinental and Heavyweight Champion of the world. An incredible achievement. Obviously, there's too much to list in one single segment, but we recommend you check out Cultaholic's review on both nights. Next up, who to look for in AEW. There are several fairly big names being mentioned as possible arrivals. In yesterday's news, we noted that Matt Hardy could be bound for All Elite Wrestling once his contract is finished with the WWE. But adding to that, Diamond Dave discussed that the biggest issue with Hardy is not money, but how much Matt would be pushed, something Matt seems concerned about as his career is winding down. As for other possible signees, Meltzer said, Brody Lee, the former Luke Harper, his deal is going to be up in less than 3 months. The Revival, they haven't signed with WWE, they're being embarrassed. If you're the Revival and you don't want to stay with the WWE, who do you want to feud with? The Young Bucks and the Revival have been setting up that feud with each other for years. Ring of Honor star Marty Scurll was mentioned by Meltzer, who said that Ring of Honor is throwing bucks at Scurll to stay with the company. His heel faction, Villains Enterprises, has been one of the highlights of Ring of Honor, and he could easily fit into AEW. The question is whether he would want to go from a well-paid big fish in a small pond to, well, a big fish in a big pond. One interesting name that came up in who could show up in AEW is none other than Hulk Hogan, who, as we discussed in our previous news, is training for a match at WrestleMania 36, despite the fact there's been no indication the WWE is looking to book him. Hogan's WWE non-compete clause ends in March, which could lead to the Hulkster showing up in AEW. The question of course is whether Hogan projects the right image AEW is looking for. Obviously his style doesn't fit with AEW, however Hogan's mainstream popularity is still through the roof, even in 2020. Would you want to see the Hulkster in AEW? Be sure to leave your comments down below. Next up, Cody reaches out to help Australia. Cody Rhodes is doing his part to help the people of Australia who are dealing with a devastating number of fires throughout the country. Cody tweeted, I had an unused retro shirt design, I've decided to put it online. 100% of the profits go to the NSW Rural Fire Service to help provide support to those affected by the catastrophic fires spreading across Australia. The WWE's Peyton Royce, who hails from Australia, tweeted back, amazing, thank you. But he wasn't the only one to help. Chris Jericho donated his WrestleKingdom 14 ring-worn t-shirt, and all the money will be donated. Kudos to both Cody and Chris Jericho for raising awareness. But they weren't the only people to raise awareness of the bushfires. The Bulgarian brute Rusev also tweeted, Notre Dame Cathedral got $1 billion in donation in 24 hours. We can help Australia. A number of people disagreed with Rusev, saying that the Notre Dame Cathedral was obviously to do with religion, and that seems more important for some reason. Rusev got quite frustrated with the responses and said, if I wasn't obligated to WWE or God, I would have said lots of things that you wouldn't like. I'm taking the higher road as hard as it is. He then went on to tweet, I don't understand the hate it's coming. My name is Miro, I'm not in a storyline. I'm speaking as a human being. Please don't make this about wrestling. Links can be found in the description below if you want to donate. Next up, WWE is running with Liv and Lana. As successful as the Lana Lashley Rusev storyline has been on social media, it looks like the big reveal that Lana and Liv Morgan may have been a couple before seems to have even more potential. The WWE is going all in with the storyline, with Liv Morgan posting several social media posts showing her and Lana in the past. And lastly, Big E discusses dealing with WWE writers. The New Day have been together for over 5 years, and it's obvious they've managed to stay fresh throughout their run together. Nonetheless, the talented trio have had problems with WWE creative, at least according to some recent comments by New Day member Big E. During a recent episode of the New Day's Feel the Power podcast, Big E revealed what's kept them fresh. We have more creative control. We don't write our own promos, but we are given promos, and oftentimes we're able to say, we don't really care for this, so we're not going to say that. I don't want to take shots at anyone, but if we read what was given to us on a regular basis, trash. There are certain situations where if you have someone writing for you that doesn't have similar life experiences or sense of humor, it's harder for them to write in your voice. that's something we ran into. But there you have it guys, the latest wrestling news. Be sure to leave your comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.